Another day in the salt mines, guys. Well, it's not that bad. I'm actually enjoying the process of cleaning up, as I've told you many a times. Excuse Coco in the background. She's really annoyed that she can't come out in the yard with me. She's like my shadow. She loves to go wherever I go, and the chooks are out and she'll chase them, so she has to be locked up. Okay guys, it's episode 20 of the Great Farm Cleanup. I wound the other one up just yesterday, so it's now Wednesday. I've been out in the shed this morning. I've had the fire going. I'm sorting out some more stuff. I've been in fix-it mode today. I had to glue up one of Mum's shoes. I've got to do a repair job here, which I'll show you in a minute. I have to a few other little jobs around the place that Mum needs doing. More cleaning up. I've taken the fuel tank for the tractor into the local plumber in town, and he reckons he can solder that up tonight, so that's great. I'd like to get that finished, although I'm not sure if I'll have time because I'm going back tomorrow lunchtime. So I'm also going to light a bit of a fire and burn some old furniture, old wardrobes and stuff that is no good at all when we need to get out of the shed. We had 2 dead chooks I have to get rid of, so they'll be on the bonfire. So no, it's not roast chicken for lunch. So I'll show you what job I've got to do now, and we'll get to that, get that sorted out, and then get back to the cleanup. Okay, just outside the chook shed is a chook, and also this laying box. So the idea here is that they can get into this box from inside the shed, and there's areas for them to lay their eggs, so Mum can collect the eggs without actually going into the shed. And that's all well and good, except this lid was made out of cement sheet, and it's been broken, and it clearly doesn't hold secure anymore. And the problem is that we do get foxes around here, and they will help themselves probably get in through that door and basically have a smorgasbord of chicken. It won't be roast, but I'm sure the chooks don't want a fox in their sheds. So I'm going to fix this first. I found a piece of old tin. This side's tin, so that's fine. I'll just take these screws here. The hinges should be fine. I'll measure up a piece of tin, cut it to size, drill a few holes for the screws, and that will be finished. This old sheet of tin, it's galvanized. I think it's actually off a binder, will do nicely. It's actually the perfect width, and it's even got a rolled edge and a rounded corner on the outside. It's got a folded section here which I'll fold back under. These bolts, or I think they're rivets actually, I might just cut off flush at the bottom and rivet them over so that there's no holes, and that's going to look really rustic. So I've just got to cut it off across where that line is, and we'll line up the hinges and drill a few holes. So what I've done is I've just cut these bolts right off, almost flush with the head, and just to save having holes through this lid, we can put the head of the bolt back through the washer over it, and we'll rivet it over, and it'll just, seal up the hole and be a nice feature. I'm sure the chooks will appreciate it. Okay, I've got the washer over there now. I can't find a proper ball peen hammer, so the next best thing is a small sledgehammer, well, quite a heavy one actually. There we go, nicely riveted. We'll leave this piece of metal here. It'll add a bit of weight to the lid to be able to stay closed on a windy day. There we go, that's looking good. There we go, job's finished. I didn't film the assembly. I've got to get on to my next jobs, but that works pretty well. Should keep the foxes out, keep the weather out, and easy access for the eggs. No need to thank me, chooks. It's all part of the service. And it's absolutely perfect day for burning some old plywood and masonite and old ply wardrobe, a few old chairs, just some stuff that's of no firewood value, and it just so happens to be a great way to dispose of two old chickens that are no longer with us. So that's great. The wind's in the perfect position so that there's no smoke going back to the house. I think the nearest house that direction would probably be 2 or 3 kilometres away as the crow flies at least, so doesn't look like much smoke anyway. And there we go. Another repair job. Fixed a broom for Mum that she asked to be done. What's next? It's almost dinner time on Wednesday, so another day just about to bite the dust. Been reasonably productive, although we've had a lot of family members visit, as you would expect. So it's been a bit hard to get a full day's work in. I have been packing the van. There's a lot of heavy drums of stuff, of scrap metal in there, a lot of brass. I'm taking home a lot of the recyclables. All those bags are just empty bottles and jars and tins, because we over at Nagambie have a recycling bin, curbside bin, whereas over here they don't. In fact, even in town they have the recycling bins, but apparently it all goes to landfill in this council, which is a bit of a problem. So anyway, I'll take them back home so they'll get recycled. What are you trying to do, Coco? Can't you get up? I thought you were a coordinated dog. Maybe you need a run up. Can you get up? No? All right, that's a fail. I've loaded the trailer with a lot of wire and tin and just light gauge metal, so that can all go to the transfer station here for free, which is good. So it gets it all out of the shed and from around the immediate farmyard area. I won't be able to take that, but I think next time there's a visitor stay here, that can be one of their jobs. The shed, well, we made fairly good progress. I didn't get much done in here today, but I have got all the stuff loaded, so it looks more spacious in here than it was. Just some cardboard and scrap timber to keep the fires going next time someone's out here. So I got all that stuff done. I didn't bother taking those shelves off because they may be handy for Ross if he does use this building as a workshop. I think technically, because he owns the place, I don't think I'm actually allowed to take anything off that requires tools. I think that's the ruling. But I have cleaned out a lot of stuff here, so we've loaded a fair bit out of the workshop into the van for this trip. We'll continue out here next time. These papers have to go to someone in town, so they'll be picked up. We've got fuel organised for Mum to run the lawnmowers and things, so that's all been organised. I do have to get some grain out of one of the silos for the chooks, and I've moved a little auger down there, but I'll have to do that in the morning before I go. Also, I think I can grab the fuel tank for the tractor in the morning, so I'm not sure if I'll get time to hook that up. So down this silo here, we've got a little pencil auger which runs off just an electric motor. It's on a really large axle. It's sort of totally out of proportion, but at least it's easy to move around. And this silo has wheat in it, quite a lot I think. So I'm going to auger some of this out in the morning, fill some buckets and take them round to the feed shed for Mum so that she can feed the chooks. So we'll get that organised in the morning. And I'm going to fill these drums here with the wheat, so that'll be convenient for Mum. That little hopper thing there is now totally empty. We might drag that out and sell it next time. I don't think that's going to be used anymore. I did clean out the old cow shed over there, got a lot of scrap metal and stuff out of there. We won't go in there at the moment. It's a bit dark, you won't be able to see much. So lots been going on, lots of just organising. We did have the bonfire going. It's still smoking over there, as you can see. So that cleaned up a decent amount of stuff. And I didn't get back to the old binder in the shed I was going to drag out. I might do that next trip. It's not really that urgent. I can sell it any time. It's not really in the road, but it is something we have to sell and move on. So I'll get to that probably next trip. I'll get more organised and try and get some stuff on Facebook Marketplace to sell. Still got to tidy up this pile of scrap as well. So there's lots to do, and we haven't got into the sheds closer to the house. And of course there's the house itself eventually. So yep, we'll just keep pegging away. We're going back up to see Dad tonight. I believe he's been going okay today, so that's good. He's had a few visitors and he's been quite chatty apparently, so we'll look forward to catching up with him tonight. And now welcome to Thursday morning here. Just tidying up some stuff and loading some last minute things in the van before I take off home at lunchtime. A few more jobs to do. We still have to get some grain out of the silo. I've tidied up the shed a bit more and swept it out a little bit. We've got the fuel tank back. The plumber dropped it out last night, so thank you heaps, Danny. did a good job. He actually silver soldered it. He said he found another little hole as well, and then he put a bit of primer back on it. So that should be right to go back on the tractor, but that won't be done this morning. I don't know if Steve can do that next week when he's home. But at least it's ticked off. I've cleaned up a bit more in here, swept up a bit, as I've said. Quite neat and organised around here now. The workbench is available to be used. I'm not packing away any tools because they still are required for various jobs. But I'm happy with the progress I got done in the shed this week, and also I've been labelling things. So old oils are going up there, chemicals to be disposed of. This section's now just for rubbish, so whenever someone does a load to the tip next time, they know that all that can go. I'll be taking some of that timber in the van as well. The rest of it's probably just for the fire. An area for recycling, so the bag's got a lot of jars and bottles and tins in it, and the cardboard can either be used in the fire or go to the recycling, which I'll take back to Ngambia, as I've mentioned. A section for old paints. So the idea here is, because we're all coordinating our visits rather than all turn up at once and it just be more chaos and you don't get so much done, at least when one of us is here, you know where things go. If Steve's doing a load to the tip, he knows clearly that that's the rubbish spot, or if he's cleaning up a bit more, that's where to put it. So I like to be fairly organised, and I think it just helps coordinate everyone's little work efforts when people are home. All right, now we went to visit Dad last night, and he's going really well. He's actually in pretty good spirits, so not much more to report there, but he certainly does need a level of care which is much higher than he can get at home. I'm not sure how things are going to progress, and I think it's pretty hard to even guess. Sometimes people come good for a little while and then go downhill very quickly. So look, whatever happens, happens. In the meantime, I'm concentrating on this job here. The family are all rallying around Mum, and we'll be here regularly to keep things ticking over and keep the cleanup going. And of course, we'll be visiting Dad as much as we can. So the last job today is just to get some grain out of the silo. And I figure I'll half fill this bin and I'll trolley it back, and then I'll fill some buckets, and that'll give Mum enough grain for the chooks for a few weeks. So hopefully this thing works, hasn't been used for a while. Beautiful, works well. And there we go, drums full of beautiful golden grain. The chooks will love it. It's actually really nice wheat, that. So that should keep Mum going, well, at least the chooks going for a long time. Better put the covers on so that the sparrows don't get in there, and the rats. Everyone's looking for a free feed these days. So that'll do for this episode. I'm about to hit the road. The van's loaded. Just going to have a quick lunch, make some coffees, and Coco and I will head back home. She's itching to go. She actually knows that something's up because she watches me load things in the van, and you know, she might act silly, but I don't think she's that silly, except for around the firewood pile. She's really silly. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next video. This was episode 20. We talked to Dad this morning. He's still much the same. Lots of visitors, and he gets quite worn out talking to people, but he's hanging in there. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.